do.
Now, we are so excited to be joined by Madi herself to talk about this new confirmation series from Ascension. Madi, thank you so much for being with us. Hi.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Doing well. I love the headband. Let's take a look at that. That's so cool. Does it have little pearls on it? That's cool. I like that a lot. My friends are going to get a big kick out of that. And I'm so excited to actually meet you because I think we have a lot of friends in common over the Archdiocese of San Diego. I believe they're the best in the world, right? Yeah. But you've worked in youth ministry for over 10 years, I heard. And since you speak throughout the United States and Latin America, you have the opportunity to encounter like a lot of teens. So what can you tell us about what those teens need in confirmation and beyond? Because I can't imagine anyone would know better than you do.
Yeah, it's funny. I always say that juniors in high school and that around that age are just my favorite people in the world. I don't think any adult can beat them. And people always look at me like, well, why? They're just the best. And so I think what I love the most about working with teenagers is they're so authentic and they're so real, and they'll call you on and out. So if they don't see something, if they don't believe it, they have no problem telling you. And in a weird way, I love that. And they just have this desire for truth. They have a desire to learn more. They have a desire. They're on this journey to discovering their identity. And we just get to be along for the ride and helping them to search for that. And I always encourage them. You have questions, ask them. You have doubts, search for them. But there's this authentic desire to just know who they are and to seek for truth. And I just love being on the journey to help them discover that.
That's so beautifully expressed, Madi. And I totally agree that that's a time where they'll call you in and call you out at the same time. And speaking of that, calling out Ascension Press, I was certainly blessed to be able to use the initial release of Chosen. So tell me a little bit about what's been fine-tuned and updated in this new release. You are one.
It's funny because I started working for Ascension about 5 years ago, so right after Chosen was released. And I've used parts of Chosen, and it's been such a beautiful program. And I love that they give you so many options, because as a DRE or someone or anyone that's working with confirmation, you kind of want options because you're not going to show everything, right? Because it's way too much. But I love that. And so a couple of things that have been tweaked, a couple of the videos and the ways that it's formed. We live in a TikTok world, unfortunately. And so everything is just so very fast paced. And so we added some dynamics, we added some images and some different things to kind of make it more, to grab their attention more, and just make it kind of shorter aspects, because teens will lose attention very fast. And of course, the world has changed in the past 10 years. And there are topics that we need to be addressing more and not be afraid to talk about. And so we kind of tweaked to be able to make sure that we address those topics. And if there were some things that were said that we could maybe say it in a different way that's better with the time frame that we're at now, then we could go ahead and do that. And so those are just some of the things that were changed, and including some really awesome graphics to be able to grab the attention of people.
Great. That's beautiful.
That's awesome. I love what you said about us being in a TikTok world, because unfortunately it's just where we're at.
Right.
And the thing with TikTok is it has so much access to the kids. And so when they're outside of their religious education classes, what can parents be doing? Because I think they're the only ones who have even a kind of comparable amount of access to the kids as their cell phones. So what can parents be doing at the home to supplement this? Is that important for parents to be supplementing it? Is it necessary? Can you just ship them off to CCD, or does it need to be supplemented at home?
Oh gosh, please no. So, I mean, parents are the primary catechist. I tell this to parents every year. It's like, I have your kid for a year. You have them forever. And so not be afraid to ask them, hey, what are you doing in those classes? What are you guys talking about? There's actually a parent guide that goes along with the Chosen that the parents can follow along. Like, ask the questions. I think sometimes there's this misconception that's like, oh, my teenager, I've literally heard parents say this, like, my kid's a teen, like they're going to be, something has overcome their body and I'll talk to them in a couple of years. And it's like, no, like it's so important to talk to them, ask them what's going on, ask them what their the troubles is. I always have my students go home and ask their parents, like if they're Catholic, parents, like, why are you Catholic? And some parents come at me like, why did you have them do that? It's like, you should be sharing with your children why you believe what you believe, what your doubts are, Like, what is going on? And this could actually be a great opportunity for parents to learn with their children. I can't tell you how many times, parents have come up to me and said, we've had really good conversations because of something that they learned in one of the classes. And so don't be afraid, even those awkward conversations and those awkward things. If you're not mentioning it, the world is mentioning it. And I think it'd be way better if it comes from you and you guys can search for this together. And I think parents have a misconception of, well, if I'm asking something or bringing it up, then I have to know all the answers. You don't. It's actually really good for kids to understand, what, my parents are not perfect and my parents are flawed and my parents don't know absolutely everything, but to be able to be humble enough to say, let's search for those answers together, and to understand that the church actually has answers, like all the answers, from a psychological perspective, from a science perspective. I mean, it's brilliant. God is so good in how he teaches things. And so go on this journey with your child to search for the answers and search for truth. This can be a really great opportunity. Confirmation is a beautiful opportunity, not only for the child, but for the whole family to be able to solidify the beauty of our faith.
That's beautiful. Talk about some great rules of engagement for the family, along with, the parish formation program. So you brought that up about the beauty of the church teachings. So we just have a minute left to wrap up here. So I'm going to ask you just a real quickie question. What's the toughest part for the teens to understand, and what's the thing that comes up most frequently? And how can people get a copy of the Refresh Chosen Journey to Confirmation program?
The biggest question is why? Why does this matter? Like, why is this important?
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, why is this going to make my life better? And I think the biggest way to answer that is by the witness and by the way you live your life. You can say you're Catholic all you want, but the way you love your child is going to make a much louder statement. And so through your witness and through having those honest conversations is a really big thing. And you can learn more about Chosen and more about the aspect of the Holy Spirit, not just, and this is one of my pet peeves, I don't like when they just focus on the Holy Spirit. It's like, these are the gifts and the fruits of the Holy Spirit. That's great. But helping them understand that the Holy Spirit is actually their helper for the rest of their life in every aspect, and how those gifts and fruits relate to their lives all the time, right? And so we dive into all of this in Chosen, of how can all of this impact your life and make your life better, because life with the Lord is the best way to do things. So you can learn more about this at ascensionpress.com/chosen. So ascension.com/chosen.
That's great. Madi, thanks so much for spending some time with us this morning. Later, we're going to show right after this interview, we're going to show the introductory of the Refreshery and Refreshed course, and see some new faces like yourself and some familiar faces to Catholic TV and Father Josh Johnson. So thanks so much for, giving us a sneak peek.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, ladies.